And welcome back to more X-Plane 11 on a tutorial Tuesday. That's what we're going to call this. I'll put something out on Tuesday and maybe teach you something. Probably won't, probably confuse you because I might be wrong. Who only knows? I should probably know stuff like that. Anyway, today we are cruising around in my home state of Ohio. And as you can actually see out the window with the ortho overlays, Ohio is boring as all get it. This is Ohio. This is the best state in the world to have an engine failure because seriously, pick a field. Anyway, let me show you what we're going to do. Going on over here to Sky Vector, I'm going to show you guys how to do some pattern entries at non-towered, pilot-controlled, uncontrolled airfields, whatever you want to call them. We're heading over here to Newark Heath right now, and we're about to go over Buckeye Lake. We're going to be landing on runway 27 right here at Newark Heath. The field elevation is 884 feet. We need to add 1,000 feet to that for pattern altitude. So that'd be 1,884 feet. With it being close to 900, we're just going to round this up to 1,900 feet to make life easier on all of us. Jumping back into the airplane here, we are about 9 miles to the southwest of the airfield right now over Buckeye Lake. And if you guys looked over here on Sky Vector, there's a little flag right here over Buckeye Lake. If you were talking to air traffic control, you could tell them that you're over Buckeye Lake because this is a VFR checkpoint. And since everybody in this area would probably know of this lake, we can report over the lake. Here's the frequency for our airport. Back in the airplane, we have 122.7, so we call up Newark Heath traffic. Cessna 172 Sierra Papa is 8.5 miles to the southwest over Buckeye Lake. We'll be entering a midfield downwind for runway 27, Newark Heath. What did we do there? We said where we are going, Newark Heath, who we are, where we're at, and we're over Buckeye Lake, which is right here on Sky Vector, and we told them what we're going to do. We're going to enter a midfield downwind for runway 27, and then we told them again who he was, just in case somebody else is listening on here. Alright, we're about 4 miles away. We've already descended down to our pattern altitude of 1,900. You need to be at this altitude before you enter the pattern. You do not want to descend into the pattern. That's when you start getting people mad at you because you could descend down on top of them and crash and ruin everybody's day. So we got our frequency in. We're about 3.5 miles away. We need to look down here and do our gumps check. Our gauges are looking good, especially the gas. Undercarriage is hopefully still welded onto this airplane. The mixture is all the way in. The prop would be all the way in if we did have one. And our switches. We got our beacon on. Landing light is on. We are good to go. Strobe light for some reason wasn't on. And there we go. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to enter downwind at a 45-degree angle and then make left-hand turns to come into the airport. Pretty simple, right? Alright, we're about 2 miles away. We're going to go ahead and kill this autopilot, sticking around 1,900 feet. We're going to go ahead and start making our right-hand turn, into the pattern at a 45-degree angle. With this not being a towered airport, we need to let everybody know what we're doing. So, Newark Heath traffic, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa entering a 45 midfield downwind for runway 27 Newark Heath. And there's our runway. Now when that runway, the numbers right out here, right in line with our engine, we're going to go ahead and start pulling our power back. And right there, we'll go ahead and start pulling our power on back and adjusting our trim. Looking for a nice little descent. Close to 80 knots is a happy little area in this airplane. You're not going too fast, not going too slow. Alright, runway's 45 degrees, so we call them again. Newark Heath traffic, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa left base, runway 27, Newark Heath. Now, the reason I say left base, and a lot of people's going to make fun of that, is you don't know if there's some old timer out here making up their own pattern entries. They could be making right-hand turns, they could be making left-hand turns, you really don't know. And yes, I have landed at this airport and had somebody make a right-hand turn, and we were coming almost head-on, and I had to deviate my landing and fly somewhere else. Turn to final, Newark Heath traffic, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa, turning final runway 27, touch and go, Newark Heath. Slowly working our way on down here, still maintaining close to 80 knots like I want to be doing. Coming right on down. Doing a little bit faster than I want to, but what can you do? We don't have any wind, so completely ignore that windsock out there. Keeping the runway center line right in between our legs. And come on, merciful airplane, I just gotta hear some noise. That's the ground, full power coming right back on in. There's close to 60 knots. We're going plenty fast enough. Come right back up off the ground. And we could call back Newark Heath traffic, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa on the go, runway 27, Newark Heath. That's just letting anybody else know that, hey, we went ahead and got on the ground, off the ground, and we are heading on the way back up out of here. When we get close to about 500 feet up around in here, we're going to turn a left crosswind for this runway. We call Newark Heath traffic, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa, turning left crosswind, runway 27, Newark Heath. And we're going to keep turning this way till we get about where 27 would be, right there on that tick. Continuing our climb on up out of here. Go ahead and turn on out. Looking at the airport, it's right off to our left. And since we're out of the pattern altitude and we're heading back to the south, we call Newark Heath traffic. So that's the 172 Sierra Papa departing the pattern to the south, Newark Heath. Alright, we're heading right back down to the airport we were going to. We're about 15 miles away. We're over Buckeye Lake, but we're going to kind of cut the corner a little bit. Jump over here to Sky Vector, and coming back down, we're about right around in this area right now. But this is the airport we're coming back into. We're going to land on runway 28, which is going this direction. Right here is the weather for our airport. This is our altitude. It's got lighting. It's a 5,000 foot runway. This would be the common traffic advisory frequency we talked to. But then it says RP28. If we look up here, it does not say RP28. That's why we made a left-hand pattern. That RP means right pattern. So for this airport, we have to make a right-hand pattern to come into this airport. Why? Because in real life, there's a whole bunch of roof houses right here, and the people down here are crabby if you fly over their houses. We're about 3 miles away. The airport is right out here. Right there. There's the end of the runway. There's the hangars and everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and turn off our autopilot. Make us a little bit of a right-hand turn here because, like I said, I want to enter on a 45-degree angle, and we're still plenty far away from the airport. We're down here around 1,900 feet where the pattern altitude is at. We can give them another call and let them know what's going on. Fairfield County traffic, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa is 2 miles to the north of the airfield. We'll be entering a midfield downwind runway 28. Now the same thing applies here, just like at the other airport. When the numbers, which are right there, are right off our wing, just like that, we're going to go ahead and chuck our power back. And we can start our descent, putting the center line right in between my legs. We're going a little bit too fast. I know we can make the runway, so I'm going to go ahead and chuck the power all the way out, retrim the airplane, working our way on down. Coming on down, pretending that we're putting that center line right between our legs. And let's pretend right here a deer ran out in front of us. All we do is throw in full power. Go ahead and call back in. Fairfield County traffic, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa going missed, runway 28. I'm going to show you one more and then we'll be done. Alright, on this one, like I said, we came back down on the previous one. Down here, entered midfield, just like we did up here, but we made a right-hand traffic. But what if you're coming this direction and you've got to land on this runway and you're on the south side? How would we do that? What we're going to do is we're going to get to pattern altitude and we're going to cross over midfield at pattern altitude and make our right-hand turns is one way we can do it. The other way we could do it, if we were down here and approaching, is pattern altitude is 1,900 feet. We could cross over at 2,900 feet, come out here about 2 or 3 miles, make a turn and descend back down and come into the pattern. But this way is going to be easier for us. That way we don't have to come up here further and end up in this Class Charlie airspace dealing with, you know, the inbounds and outbounds of an international airport and everybody else. We give them a call up. Fairfield County traffic, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa is 5 miles to the south. We'll be crossing over midfield at 1,900 feet, entering a midfield downwind for runway 28, Fairfield County. I like to do my calls at about 10 miles out, 5 miles out, and then about 2 to 3 miles out, just so everybody that might already be here is going to start looking for an airplane in that relative direction. Right now, if I was to call, I'd go ahead and tell them I'm at 4 miles. I'd rather tell them I'm too close and them start looking sooner than round it up to 5 and they're like, oh, I got plenty of time. You always got to think ahead of somebody that isn't thinking. Alright, we're about 2.5 miles out. Go ahead and do our gumps check. Our gauges and gas is all looking good to me. Our undercarriage is hopefully still welded on since this doesn't have retracts. Mixture and prop would all the way be in, and our switches all appear to be up and in the area we want to. Looking out here, here's the runway. We're going to cross over midfield, about 2 miles away. When we get just on this side of the runway, I'm going to call up and tell them that we're crossing over midfield and entering a midfield downwind for runway 28. Fairfield County traffic, Cessna 172 Sierra Papa, crossing over midfield to enter a midfield downwind for runway 28. Full stop, Fairfield County. So right there we talked to who we're talking to, exactly what we're doing. We're crossing over midfield to enter a midfield downwind for runway 28, and we're going to be making a full stop. So if there's anybody else out here that could be landing, they're going to know, hey, this guy might take a little bit extra time riding down the runway to get slowed up. Looking out our left and right windows as we cross over midfield. Right there, give us a little bit of trim down. It looks like we climbed just a smidge on. And go ahead and enter our downwind for runway 28, making right-hand traffic. Little fast, little high. So we're going to pull out our power. Just a smidge on of trim. Working our way on down. Still holding 80 knots. We'll throw out a thing of flaps just for giggles. Retrim the airplane. Keeping the center line right between our imaginary legs. That's about 75. Chucking the power because I know we can make the runway now. Slowly pulling back. A bit more back pressure, holding it off the ground while we're in ground effect. A little bit more. Still too much of a 3-point landing, but we're on the ground in one piece. Hopefully this guy helped you guys understand non-towered, pilot-controlled airports a little bit better. If not, we'll make another one. Why not? Go ahead and throw a comment, like, subscribe. Tell me what you want to see.